After 2 years of simping, I still couldn't win over the goddess. In despair, I decided to commit myself fully to sealing my heart and vowing never to love again. But on the night of our graduation party, under the influence of alcohol, I accidentally pinned down Madison Blake, the school beauty. When I woke up, I left 2000 on the bedside table. Here's a tip for you. To avoid embarrassment, I immediately posted on social media, "I've lost my memory. If I've done anything wrong, I sincerely apologize." Only visible to Madison Blake. 3 years later, as I was preparing to return to reclaim everything that once belonged to me, I unexpectedly ran into Madison Blake at the hospital. She cornered me against the wall and said, "This memory loss of yours is a psychological issue. I'll take you for treatment." Before I could react, her colleague next to her laughed. "Oh, so you're the amnesiac who left her 2000, the moonlight in her heart, right?" After 2 years of simping, I still couldn't win over the goddess. In despair, I decided to commit myself fully to sealing my heart and vowing never to love again. But on the night of our graduation party, under the influence of alcohol, I accidentally pinned down Madison Blake, the school beauty. When I woke up, I left 2000 on the bedside table. Here's a tip for you. To avoid embarrassment, I immediately posted on social media, "I've lost my memory. If I've done anything wrong." I was completely shocked. Everyone at school knew Madison Blake was like a flower on a high peak, untouchable. She was extremely strict about cleanliness. Even though I didn't know exactly what had happened that night, I didn't care, I just pinned her down. It would be weird if she wasn't mad. Back then, there were rumors about a senior planning to make a move on his goddess before graduation. He acted directly, and she responded even more fiercely by calling the police. It caused a huge stir on campus. Thinking about all this, I looked at the girl sleeping beside me and felt guilty. I searched through my clothes and found 2000 in cash. Damn it, I thought, not only did I sleep with her, I insulted her too. Without thinking, I scribbled a note, "Here's your tip," and left the scene. I then posted on social media again, "I lost my memory. If I did anything wrong, I truly apologize." Only visible to Madison Blake. Still uneasy, I remembered my family had once suggested I study abroad. I quickly called my dad. "Dad, remember you wanted me to study overseas? Is that offer still on the table?" "Of course. But didn't you always refuse before? What changed?" Slightly embarrassed, I said, "Studying abroad doesn't sound too bad now. Mostly, there's someone I need to avoid." After I went abroad, Madison Blake really didn't contact me again. Not a word. Not even anger. I breathed a sigh of relief. I had made the right decision. Gradually, I got used to life overseas. During a chat with friends, I couldn't help asking about her. They weren't surprised. "Honestly, we all thought you got heartbroken after your confession failed and went abroad to escape." I looked at the message and didn't know how to reply. I just sent a waving emoji. They replied quickly, "Madison Blake studying medicine now." I was stunned. Didn't she major in dance? Yeah, we were all surprised too. Why'd she suddenly switch majors? No one knows the reason. Reading those messages, I fell silent, remembering the words I once said back in college. My dream major was medicine, but I was just joking at the time. Don't overthink it, she's the flower on a high peak, right? How could she have possibly changed her major just because of a casual joke I made? 3 years later, after completing my studies abroad, I returned to my homeland. The moment I set foot on this soil again, even the air felt fresher. After living overseas for 3 years, I suddenly remembered I should pay more attention to my health and decided to book a full medical checkup. As soon as I got home, I made an appointment online for a full-body exam. The next day, I went straight to the hospital. But the moment I stepped into the examination room, I was stunned. The woman sitting there, focused on writing a report, was none other than Madison Blake. 3 years had passed. She had shed her youthful naivety and gained a sense of maturity. Her features had become even more defined, yet she still exuded that same elegant aura that made it impossible to look away. I gulped hard, and my toes curled as if I were a thief in a grand hall. She didn't seem to notice me, so I quietly shifted in my seat, planning to sneak away. But just as I lifted myself from the chair, a calm voice rang out. Running away without saying hello to an old acquaintance, just like 3 years ago? I couldn't explain why, but the tone of her last sentence sounded like she was gritting her teeth. Awkwardly, I straightened up, fingers gripping my shirt nervously. I forced a laugh. I've already checked in. How could I sneak away? Her dark eyes remained locked on me as she asked something cryptic, really? Then, as she asked, she stood up and stepped closer. Oh right, I haven't asked how you've been these past 3 years. Now we were standing very close. Her warm breath grazed my sensitive skin, making me involuntarily shiver. The fresh scent of mint lingered in the air between us, clean and elegant, and it triggered something in my mind. Memories of that fiery night 3 years ago flooded back, and I couldn't stop the blush that crept up my cheeks. I swallowed hard, completely unsure how to respond. No matter what I said, it would be difficult to explain away what I did 3 years ago. Seeing my bewildered expression, the woman suddenly curved her lips into a soft smile. Don't worry. Memory loss is a psychological condition. I'll take you for treatment. Before I could respond, a light laugh came from the side. It was her colleague, who was still in the internship period. Oh, so this is the guy with amnesia, the one who left you 2000. The Moonlight Boy of yours, right? Moonlight Boy? I was stunned. What the hell is a Moonlight Boy? Wait, was she referring to me? Could I really be Madison Blake's Moonlight? That made no sense. Madison Blake shot a glance at her colleague, who immediately fell silent. I admired that, just like 3 years ago, she didn't need to raise her voice to command respect. Then her gaze returned to me, and this time, it softened noticeably. Now that you're back. If you want treatment, I can take care of you. Her words confused me again. She continued, I'm a doctor now. It's only fitting that I be the one to care for you. I'll prepare a full treatment plan for you. As she finished, she gently reassured me, don't worry. At that moment, a terrifying thought crossed my mind, could it be she became a doctor because of me? But the truth is, I never actually lost my memory. Back then, I only made that private social media post, one that only she could see, just to save face. But how on earth was I supposed to explain that to her? After taking me through a series of health checks, she frowned slightly as she looked over the report. Physically, everything looks normal, she said. Standing beside her, my heart was racing like mad. Then, without warning, she changed the subject, which means your sudden memory loss back then must have been caused by something more complex. To treat me better, Madison Blake suggested I stay at her place for observation. I refused, of course, but my refusal didn't stand a chance against her persistence. With no other choice, I sent a message to my dad, I'll be staying at a friend's place for a while. Thankfully, my dad respected my independence and didn't ask much. So just like that, Madison Blake took me straight to her place. The apartment was minimalist, black and white themed, spotless, like a model home. The moment I stepped in, my eyes were drawn to a framed photo on the TV cabinet. It was a picture we took together at a club event. She'd kept it all this time. And from the way it was displayed, it looked like she cherished it deeply. Could it be because of me? No. I shut that thought down immediately. After setting her documents down, Madison Blake casually walked into the kitchen, rolling up her sleeves to reveal her soft, slender arms. "Seafood noodles okay?" Even the smallest gestures she made were inexplicably attractive. I had to force myself to look away. Soon, the aroma of food filled the air. After a long day with nothing to eat, my stomach was growling like crazy. When she brought the bowl of noodles to the table, I didn't hold back and devoured it immediately. Honestly, Madison Blake wasn't just beautiful, her cooking was amazing. As I was eating seriously, her voice suddenly floated down from above, "Once you're done, I'll do a hypnosis session on you." I had no idea how to explain things to her, so I just nodded awkwardly. Even though I kept hesitating, evening finally came. Sitting on her sofa, I fidgeted with my fingers nervously. Part of me thought, maybe I should just come clean. Better than dragging this out. But another voice in my head screamed, "No way. If you confess now, you might end up spending the night at the police station." Noticing my nervous movements, a soft, warm hand suddenly rested on mine. That dry, gentle touch sent electric shocks through my whole body. "Don't be afraid," she said softly. "I'll be right here." Hearing her voice like that, I don't know why, but I instinctively relaxed. Slowly, following her rhythm, I slipped into a hypnotic state. Her beautiful face loomed larger and larger in front of me, then gradually blurred. I didn't know how long I'd slept, but when I opened my eyes again, that cold and lovely face was still the first thing I saw. Who would have thought the proud flower from back then would now be this close to me? I stared at her face in a daze. She raised her eyebrows slightly. "Did you remember anything?" That's when I remembered, oh right. We were doing hypnosis. But the thing is, I never had memory loss. So this whole treatment didn't actually work on me. I slapped my thigh and gave her a bright smile. "I do remember you. An old classmate." Her lips pressed into a straight line. "Anything else?" For some reason, in those 3 words, I heard a hint of sulking. Embarrassed, I shrank back and avoided her gaze. "Not really. My memory isn't that great." She withdrew her eyes and said calmly, "It's okay. Spending more time together will help jog your memory." At that moment, she was still wearing the same simple white dress from work. It perfectly accentuated her stunning figure. Honestly, she could easily outshine a dozen rising starlets in the entertainment industry. Especially from my angle, she looked drop-dead gorgeous. Suddenly, a few bold words popped into my head: wife material, max level. Turns out, even after 3 years, I still really liked this version of her. Madison Blake gave me the master bedroom and took the sofa in the living room herself. While she was inside tidying up, she glanced over at me, awkwardly standing in a corner, and suddenly began walking toward me, step by step. Until I was trapped, between the wall and her. In that moment, my mind was racing 1,000 miles a minute. My heart was pounding so wildly it was practically out of control when her soft fingers suddenly reached out and gently tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. Her deep voice followed close behind, "If you need anything, just call me. I'll be right here." Only after saying that did she calmly turn and leave the room. As soon as she was gone, I collapsed onto the soft, oversized bed in a daze, one hand instinctively clutching my wildly beating heart. How could I have known that Madison Blake, cold and composed on the outside, was capable of being this captivating? She had never shown this side of herself in front of anyone else. Shaking my head to stop my mind from wandering, I lay back on the bed that still carried her subtle scent. Yet no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop the tide of emotions rising inside me. The next morning, I washed up and stepped out of the room to find that Madison Blake had already prepared a delicious breakfast. Bathed in the soft morning light, she looked like some kind of goddess, and I couldn't help but admire her in silence. A perfect wife, a model homemaker. Who on earth would be lucky enough to marry her someday? Almost as if she sensed my gaze, she turned to look at me. "You done washing up? Come eat." Her cooking still suited my taste perfectly, just like before. After breakfast, she suddenly brought it up, "Later, I'll take you back to our old school for a walk." I was surprised. "You don't have to go to work or anything. What kind of doctor has this much free time these days?" She looked at me seriously. "My main task right now is treating you." "Well then. I guess that's that." 3 years apart. And now, returning to our old campus once again, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. As I stood in place, staring at the familiar scenery in a daze, I suddenly felt warmth in my palm. Madison Blake had naturally taken my hand and was now leading me down a narrow path inside the school grounds. She took me to the library, and we read books together. She brought me to the canteen, and we ate side by side. She walked with me down the road between the boys' and girls' dorms. All of it, everything, were the things I had once dreamed of doing with her. And now, as she held my hand so casually, some of the younger students on campus glanced at us with surprised expressions. Even after all these years, she still turned heads wherever she went. "Tired?" she asked. While I was still caught in a daze, she suddenly stopped walking, then without warning, knelt down on one knee right in front of me. I froze. My mind lit up with every possible explanation. Wait a second, did I die? Is the goddess about to propose to me? I stiffened, completely unable to move. But all she did was calmly reach for my sneaker and tie the undone shoelace that I hadn't even noticed. After finishing, she stood up and looked down at me gently from above. "You dummy. After all this time, you still don't know how to take care of yourself." At that moment, it really did feel like we were a couple deeply in love. My thoughts couldn't help but float away. She's really amazing. Is this also part of a doctor's treatment plan for their patient? But just thinking about how maybe, just maybe, she'd done these same things with other patients before, made my heart ache. Caught in that swirl of emotions, I blurted out without thinking, "Have you ever done this with anyone else?" She seemed genuinely surprised by my question. After a short pause, she gently raised her hand to my cheek. Her soft lips parting ever so slightly, "I'm not that kind of person." Her voice was low and magnetic, stirring ripples in a heart that was already far from calm. After strolling around for a bit more, she suddenly said, quite seriously, "I heard there's an amusement park nearby. Let's go there next." And so I let her pull me along, let her guide me through one fun activity after another, let my hormones run wild without restraint. On the Ferris wheel, she held my hand tightly. When we reached the highest point, I panicked and instinctively threw myself into her arms. By the time I realized what I'd done, it was too late to pull away. Just as I was flustered, she gently embraced me and patted my back, slow, comforting pats, like she was calming a frightened child. Hearing her steady heartbeat, breathing in that familiar soft scent of hers, the unease in my chest slowly melted away. After getting off the ride, I went to buy her favorite strawberry ice cream. I wanted to do something nice for her for once. So while I was still in a good mood, I went to the market and picked out the freshest ingredients. By the time I got home, I was soaked in sweat. I flopped down on the sofa for a break, then headed straight for the bathroom to take a shower. But today, the bathroom door felt strangely hard to open. I had to use a lot of force. Finally, with a loud click, it gave way. The moment the door swung open, warm steam billowed out, and then slowly cleared, revealing a slender silhouette. She had just finished showering. Her long hair was still dripping, little droplets trickling from her neck down the soft curves of her chest, disappearing into that alluring valley. I swallowed hard and looked away in a panic. Why didn't she say anything? I made so much noise trying to open the door. Her eyes suddenly darkened. Her voice was lower now, a little husky. "Ethan Carter, are you pretending to be the thief while shouting to catch the thief? My whole face burned red. My brain was fried. Trying to salvage the situation, I instinctively stammered, I didn't mean to. Then I bolted out of the bathroom like a fugitive. Later, when she came out into the living room wearing comfy loungewear, her eyes swept over my still blushing face. Her lips curved into a soft, knowing smile. Then she noticed the groceries I had bought. I thought you said you'd take over the cooking. My cheeks still hot, I mumbled. You've been taking care of me all this time, I just. Before I could finish, she walked right up to me. So close, too close. That single step forward sent my thoughts scattering again. I couldn't help but recall the scene in the bathroom earlier. I felt like I might actually explode. Then go ahead and do it. She said this quietly, then averted her eyes. But she ended up carrying all the groceries into the kitchen herself. Her cooking skills were as good as ever. Before I realized it, I had devoured 2 big bowls. After finishing the meal, I was overwhelmed with guilt. I couldn't help but climb onto the scale, 6 centimeters up. Wait, no, 6 kilos. Staring at the number, I refused to believe my eyes. She looked at my total mental breakdown and said nonchalantly, "You're still pretty slim, even if you did gain a bit of weight. Just drink some tea after meals, it'll flush out the fat." I glared at her fiercely. "This is all your fault." But under my accusing stare, the corners of her lips just curled even more. That smile of hers deepened. Over the month we'd spent living together, our feelings had unknowingly grown, clearly, unmistakably. Just when I thought this peaceful life we had might go on for a long while, the doorbell suddenly rang, breaking the silence. I was curled up on the couch watching TV and snacking on potato chips. I quickly jumped up to answer it. The moment I opened the door and saw the confident, radiant man standing there, I froze. So many thoughts flashed through my mind. It's been 3 years since I disappeared. In 3 years, anything could have happened. Could this be Madison Blake's boyfriend? Why else would he show up at her door like this? But then, why hadn't he shown up even once all this time? While I was sizing him up, the man was also discreetly examining me. His well-shaped eyebrows furrowed slightly. Noticing how I stood frozen in place, Madison Blake came over, concerned. When she saw who was at the door, her expression remained completely calm. "Is there something you need?" The man finally snapped out of his daze and gave a bright smile. "I heard from the hospital you took an extended leave. I was a bit worried, so I came to check on you." Madison Blake didn't show much expression. Instead, right in front of him, she pulled me into her arms. My boyfriend came back from overseas. I want to spend more time with him." Her words hit me like lightning. "Wait, since when am I her boyfriend?" The man's smile faltered clearly upon hearing that. He couldn't help but ask, "But didn't everyone say you were single?" Her lips moved slightly, her voice completely natural. "Well, not entirely single, I suppose. Besides, I'm sure you've heard, I've always had a white moonlight. The man's expression flickered with surprise. His gaze shifted back to me, scrutinizing me more closely than ever, filled with suspicion, doubt, and maybe even hostility. For some reason, under his gaze, I instinctively straightened my back and puffed out my chest, trying to appear as confident as possible. He finally looked away and exhaled heavily. This white moonlight. Wasn't it said he had amnesia? As he spoke, his eyes returned to me, carefully observing, like he was trying to figure out if I really had lost my memory. After all, he was the professional. I was just pretending. Under his probing gaze, I began to feel guilty. Seeing his stare fixated on me, Madison Blake's eyebrows gradually drew together, and her voice grew much colder. "This is my personal matter. If you have nothing else to say, please leave." He probably thought his surprise visit would be warmly welcomed. But after being dismissed so bluntly, his eyes began to redden. Even as a fellow man, I couldn't help but feel sorry for him. But Madison Blake didn't waver in the slightest. She was like a machine, utterly emotionless. In the end, the man could only let out a heavy sigh and leave quietly. After he was gone, I hesitated for a long time, then finally took the initiative to speak to Madison Blake. "Actually, I'm fine now. You can go back to work. If my presence is affecting your normal life, I'll feel uneasy." I steeled myself and said seriously, "Just keep living your life the way you used to, okay?" She stared at me, lips pressed into a straight line. There was something unreadable in her dark eyes. Eventually, her expression softened. "I agree, but only if you agree to one thing too. During this time, you still have to receive my treatment." To let her return to her normal life, I could only nod in agreement. And just like that, we started living like a newlywed couple. One day, when we went downstairs for a walk, an elderly lady from the neighborhood smiled and asked, "Are you the husband of our little doctor?" That girl was stiff like a block of wood. And I had never seen her around any man before. I thought she wouldn't find a husband until she was 70 or 80, but who knew she'd end up with such good fortune? Hearing the old man's words, my face flushed red all the way to the ears. I wanted to deny it, but couldn't find the right words. At the same time, a strange feeling surged in my chest. So, in the past 3 years, she really didn't have anyone else by her side. If that's the case, then the colleague who showed up that day. Maybe he was just secretly in love with her. After walking a few dull laps around the building, I suddenly got the idea to bring her lunch. As a small token of thanks for all the care she'd given me recently. With that thought, I happily headed into the kitchen. Carrying a lunchbox full of heartfelt effort, I went straight to Madison Blake's department. Since I'd been there before, her colleagues naturally let me into the break room again, smiling with curiosity. "Brother-in-law, sir, please wait here a moment. Dr. Blake will be right back." Under her curious gaze, I suddenly felt hesitant. Was this really a good idea? I sat down on the couch, waiting, but very soon, the door opened again. I thought it would be Madison Blake, so I stood up eagerly. "Guess what I brought you?" Before I could finish, I saw who it was. My smile froze. It was him. The man who had come to Madison Blake's place the other day. Since he was her colleague. I forced a polite smile. He sat down across from me, face tense, maybe even hostile. Then, without any pretense, he spoke, "I know you're not sick. You're lying to Madison Blake. Does she even know?" My smile disappeared. My fingers clenched. My brow furrowed. Even my voice turned cold. "This is between me and her. It's none of your business." To my surprise, he smugly pulled out his phone. Turns out, he'd been recording everything from the moment he walked in. He fiddled with the screen. Then grabbed my arm roughly. "I'm going to show Madison Blake your true colors." I yanked my arm away. But he looked so smug, like he'd caught me red-handed. "Men like you only cause harm. Lying, wasting Madison Blake's time and energy. How long do you think you can keep this up?" I took a deep breath, just about to argue back. When the door clicked open. It was Madison Blake. No one knew how long she had been standing there. Her jaw was tight, expression unreadable. Seeing her, the man immediately stepped forward eagerly. "Madison Blake, you heard everything, right? This guy's been lying from the start. He's nothing but a fraud." With the situation spiraling out of control, and her face giving away nothing, I started to panic too. My palms were sweating. I didn't know how to explain. But then, unexpectedly, her lips moved slightly. "I've known, for a while now. The whole room fell silent. Especially him. He now looked like the biggest clown in the world. He shook his head in disbelief, but Madison Blake's eyes were colder than ice. You think I care about that? I just want him by my side. I want to date him. The man stepped back as if struck, his heart clearly shattered. Then he turned and rushed out of the room. I was still frozen in shock. Without a word, Madison Blake walked over and firmly shut the door behind him. Then, without pause, she slowly approached me, step by step. I backed up instinctively. Guilt making my legs move without thinking. Until I was pinned against the wall. And she caged me in her arms. The feeling of touching the soft curve made me too embarrassed to look at her. She pinched my chin with her finger, forcing me to meet her gaze. You're absolutely not allowed to avoid me. I licked my lips awkwardly, heart beating wildly, stammering for a long time before I could utter, I brought you lunch. Try it. In the end, I couldn't help but ask one more question. You knew all along. Her voice was magnetic and deep. Ever since that day we met, I knew you hadn't forgotten. Thinking back to my anxious reaction that day, I finally realized there had been a huge flaw hidden in everything. She was so smart, how could she not have seen through it? The atmosphere between us grew strange. My eyes started to dart around. Actually, I really had forgotten a bit about that day. But she wasn't angry. Instead, she curled her lips slightly. It's okay, I can help you remember. As she spoke, her alluring throat moved subtly, and the next thing I felt was a weight on my lips. I gasped, startled, but she didn't give me a chance to dodge. I don't know how our conversation ended, only that I ended up in her arms, and she gently embraced me. At that moment, our hug seemed to make up for 3 years of regret. After everything that had happened, it was almost time to get off work. Madison Blake could no longer stay calm or focus on her job. She asked to leave early and took me straight home. As soon as we walked in, she pushed me against the wall. Feeling uneasy, I cautiously clutched the hem of her white dress. She seemed to love these little gestures of clinging from me. Ethan Carter, you were the one who first flirted with me and confessed to me. I only said yes because of that. But how could you seduce me and then disappear? Do you know what I've been through these past 3 years? Every time I got a strange call, I would go crazy trying to find information about you. Every night, you would invade my dreams. Every cell in my body screamed that I missed you, but you had vanished from the world. Ethan Carter, I love you. I really, really love you. Please don't leave me again. Hearing her confession, my heart couldn't help but race faster, and at the same time, there was a sharp ache deep inside. I had never imagined that my departure would have such a deep impact on a proud woman like her. The closeness of her hug let me clearly smell her comforting scent. That scent made me instinctively relax my entire body. Unable to resist, I asked, so, did you fall for me just because I confessed back then? Her brows furrowed slightly, as if she was a bit proud. Do I look like someone who's that easy to sway? Her hand gently stroked my hair, then my cheek. Lifting my face softly and planting a light kiss on my lips. Ethan Carter, maybe I already liked you before you liked me. That confession made my heart race once again. The proud flower of the school, the goddess admired by countless boys, turned out she had secretly liked me before I even liked her. Just thinking about how my once secret feelings had actually been reciprocated filled my heart with wave after wave of sweetness. I couldn't hold back and nuzzled into her embrace. Thinking back to the rumors about her from school, I couldn't help but ask, then, what was that about the guy who confessed to you? Why were you so angry? That reaction was a bit extreme. Recalling something unpleasant, her elegant brows furrowed slightly. After I rejected him, he kept following me and even started stealing my underwear. Her expression darkened at that point. That was obviously perverted behavior. How could I tolerate that? Hearing that, I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. I teased her, poking her cheek with my finger. Well, that just proves how irresistible you are. She then pulled me toward her. I wasn't about to back down either. I wrapped my arms around her waist, leaned close to her ear, and whispered, "It's been 3 years. Let me see if you're still as sweet as before." As soon as the words left my mouth, her gaze darkened noticeably. And very quickly, I paid the price for what I said. Almost dried out. Has this woman not seen a man in 8 generations or something? When it came to feelings, she had always been serious. After the misunderstanding between us was cleared up, she relentlessly arranged for me to meet her parents. At first, I was quite nervous, but fortunately, her parents were kind and especially fond of me, especially her father. Before I left, he held my hand and spoke to me quietly. "She used to secretly like you, you know? Even took candid photos of you. I happened to catch her once. I heard she went through a lot of effort to find out which club you signed up for." As her father, I never expected it, but it turns out my daughter is incredibly loyal. I'm truly happy you two ended up together. From now on, take good care of her. If she ever gives you too much trouble, come to me, I'll help you get even. Hearing her father's words stirred up deep, sweet waves in my heart. I smiled and replied, "Thank you, sir. We'll definitely be very happy." Not long after she introduced me to her parents, I officially invited her to meet mine. Since her parents already liked me, it was only fair. My parents absolutely adored Madison Blake. Throughout the whole visit, my dad kept smiling warmly at her and nodding. My mom even brought out her best wine, saying she wanted to toast with us. If Madison Blake hadn't held us back, we probably would have kept drinking all night. Later that evening, Madison Blake and I walked hand in hand down a small path under the moonlight. I was seriously soaking in the sweetness of the moment when I suddenly remembered. She had switched her major from dance to medicine. I asked, "Back then, did you change your major because of me?" She pressed her lips together slightly. "I was really concerned about your condition. Thinking about it, that misunderstanding had caused all of this. I felt deeply guilty. I'm sorry. If not for me, maybe you would have become a star in the dance world." She paused and gently stroked my head. "If not for you, the world would have one less brilliant doctor. Besides, after switching, I found out I really love this job. So in a way, it's thanks to you that I found something I truly enjoy. Thank you, Ethan Carter. I love you." She was always like that. No matter what happened, she put my feelings first. To meet her in this life, to go from strangers to lovers. I was truly happy. I threw myself into her embrace. "Madison Blake, I love you too. So much. Now it's finally my turn to enjoy this sweet love. And our future, it's only just beginning." If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and keeps more videos coming your way. Thank you for listening.